So are you tired of writing the same lines to set name and age? Constructors got you. So let's clean up our code with constructors. These are special methods that run when you create an object and they save you time and stress. What's a constructor? That is the main question for now. So, a constructor can be a special method with the same name as the class. Then there is no return type, not even void. Then it runs automatically when you create an object. So let's see some examples. In our initial constructor class, where we had the person class, let's take the code snippet out and observe again. So since we are going to use constructors now, there's a little change to the person's class. So we call the blueprint of class person string name int age. Then we're adding a new line of code. And this line of code is where the constructor comes in. So notice it says there is no return type. So we just call special method with the same name as the class. So we just call inside the public class called person. Now we called person and we assigned value of input name, input age, both as one is string and one is int. Then now we call the name to be equal to the input name and the age to be equal to the input age. So therefore we go to our method that is going to say hello world. That's when we can use the void say hello world, and it doesn't have to be public since we are all under one public class. So we just say void hello world say hello and do that. So now how do we pass in the parameter input name and age? We pass in the parameter in step 2 using the constructor. So we're passing the parameters with the constructor. Now we'll go to a separate file, or if we want to write this same in our file, we remove the public keyword and keep the class. If we're going to a separate file, we say public class main. Now the main is just the name of the class. So now we're going to say it's not good to name your file main because there's already a main in your folder, so you can name it something else. Like you can name it person or create person. So now we'll say public static void. This is our normal method for Java. Next, we create person p1 equals new person, and now instead of giving empty brackets, we put the name and the person's age, okay, into the brackets. Now we can then say p1 dot say hello, which is a method in the person class, and it's going to print age1 p1 dot age. Okay, so now this is cleaner, faster. Now let's see the practical aspect of this and not only just look at my screen and then we'll close. Okay, so we talked that constructors are a special method with the same name as the class. Why? They have no return type and they run automatically when you create an object. So we're going to discuss all of this. But on your screen now, you can see the image of a blueprint. Now, why is this image there? I want to use this image to explain what a class and object means. Now, the image you are seeing, you can see a house there. Now, that is known as a blueprint. It is a class, okay? So, this helps us to build the main house, which is the object. So, like I said before, the class is a blueprint in creating the house, okay? So, the object is the final product of the blueprint, all right? So, where does constructor come in? Constructors, they are special methods. Note, they are methods, aka functions in Java. So constructors are methods with the same name as the class. Okay, that's why I am explaining the meaning of class. So let's go into our IDE. The first point is constructors are special methods with the same name as the class. So now let's create a class. So you can create a new file, name it person.java. Now let's create a public class of person. Okay, now note I'm using the public keyword here because my file is called person, so hence the entry class should carry the public keyword, though you can still remove it and just name it whatever you want. But note, if I'm writing another class, if I call it public class, say James, I would have an error because the name of my file is not called that. So from this for this file to run, or this code to process, I need to remove this, and it becomes a subclass under my main class. So if I just toggle this button, you see the subclass there. So that is how you write classes in Java. Okay, the entry being your public. All right, so let's go back to constructors. So now let's do a simple class. Let's create a simple class for name and age. Right, so before, if we wanted to write this, we'll have to set say, okay, let's copy, let me just paste something real quick. And what I mean is, if we wanted to write this with this function, in our previous video you saw that if we wrote this, if for us to call this class, we have to do something like p1. Okay, then we say p1, sorry, let's use the, yeah, let's say p1 dot name, then we say p1 dot age. Okay, this is how we set this whole. Okay, I know why this is showing that error, because it's public. Okay, let's still put it as main1, because I have another file known as name, a main1, a main, sorry. So now this is what we have now. Now this is how we write our code, or this is how we get the object from this class and assign values to the initialized variables. So these are what we call the instance variables. They are declared without values. So now how does the constructor make use of this, or how does it make our code simple? So it uses a special method. Now the special method has the same name as the constructor. So note, the way your object has the same name before your variable name and the same name, same as the constructor. So what we just say is person. Now notice, it's a method, okay? But why is it special? It doesn't have a return type. So note, if most times when we're writing method, we say void hello, and this is your method with a return, which shows this does not return. So if I was doing mathematical, I would say int, or just like that. But constructors are special, so they do not need a return type. All you just need to say is person, then the parameters, which is this name and this age. So now we do what is called binding. So we can say name equals to name. That's it. Then we can say age equal to age. That's it. So all we need to do here is remove this place, or we'll call this function, and we're going to take in parameters inside here. So we're going to take parameter for name and for age. All right, so you see, smart enough to tell us this is name and this is age. But if you notice something, our code is grayed out. So hold on, I will explain to you why our code is grayed out. So if you play now, you have the same solution as someone who wrote the initial code, where you create the object first, then you set the object. Okay, Okay, it's telling me null. Okay, so I'm going to tell you why you're seeing the null value here and 0 here. So even though we set the name and the age, the instance variable is not initialized. Why? Because this name is not referring to this name. Okay, so this name is like referring to this name, to this initial name here, and not this name here. Or let's say it's like referring to this name here and not this name here. So how do we let Java know that the name that is being written, that is being sent to the person class, should be inputted into this constructor or this method, and it should be set as the name to be collected here? There is one keyword. The keyword is THIS. Yes, you got it. This keyword. So if I just put this dot name and I add this dot age, automatically I have just successfully told Java that this name here should be set to this name here, and this age here should be set to this age here. So if I run this code again, you will get the name as James. Sorry, let me put S here, and you get the age as 25. So it means when I'm calling this special method with this parameter of James and 25, then this initialized variable that wasn't set previously becomes initialized, and it becomes set, or a value is then assigned to the variable, making it an initialized variable that has been set. So without this keyword, our constructors would be dull. They won't work. Okay, they won't function properly as constructors. Okay, so I hope this point you're able to understand this, and you can now see that constructors make their special methods, which is this, with the same name as the class. Okay, then you can now understand that constructors have no return type, not even void. No. Immediately you put a return type, it becomes an error. Next, they run. Okay, we make use of this keyword to bind the class to the constructor. So this keyword just helps us to bind this, whatever value is here to here, or whatever value is here to here. So next up is they run automatically when you create an object. So like you saw, when we created this object, you just put name and here, and automatically it is assigned. So you don't even know how it works, but you already written the code and it is assigned automatically. Okay, so that is what I just wanted to let you know. So let's go back to the theory slides. I have a challenge for you. The challenge is for you to create a car class with a constructor that takes brand and year and prints it out. So pause the video here and try it. Okay, so if you were able to get that on your first try, or you weren't able to get that on your first try, there is no problem. So if you were able to complete the challenge on your own, that's perfect. Kudos to you. But if you weren't able to complete the challenge on your own, it's also fine. And do want to learn one or two from the just learn something from the solution code. So now your objects are smarter. Good job. Next up, let's talk about the magic word that is in Java. You see it used a lot. So like, sub, and comment